Now, on Sunrise, another weekend of demonstrations around the country. Oregonians show up to see changes they want to see from our federal government. Plus, the demand for doctors increasing across the state. The new plan to open another medical school in Oregon. Your news starts now. Good morning, and thanks for joining us on this Easter Sunday. It is 6 a.m. I'm Libby Dowsett alongside Daisy Caballero.
Good morning.
Big plans for Easter?
Not super big plans. I think we're gonna just be at home
Just be mellow.
with the dogs. Yeah, but if you do have any outdoor plans, like some Easter egg hunts and whatnot, it's not going to be as nice as it was yesterday. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. And maybe a few sprinkles here and there, but nothing that should be impacting anyone's plans outside.
We're used to it, right?
We're used to it.
Easter egg hunts in the rain.
Pacific Northwest, these April showers. So yeah, let's take you out the door and show you what it's looking like through the Rose City Sky Cam. Of course, we're not seeing the sun, we're not seeing those blue skies, with a little bit of some cloud coverage, of course. Last check out at PDX, a temperature of 49 degrees. Those winds are calm. Of course, a little bit different than what those winds were yesterday because they were breezy. So showing you the satellite and radar, pretty calm for the most part. Those showers are already starting to arrive for parts of the Oregon coast, more specifically for Astoria. They've seen already this morning close to 1/10 of an inch of rain. Quick look at your current temperatures. 45 degrees over in Forest Grove. Good morning. Also for King City, 46 for West Linn, 48 degrees for Troutdale, 46 for Newport, in the 20s over east for Baker City and Burns this morning. So for today, significantly cooler. Daytime highs are in the upper 50s for Portland and Vancouver, the mid 50s for Longview, but that 7-day forecast coming up.
Thank you, Daisy. We begin this morning with some sad news from Southern Oregon. Umpqua Community College announced the head coach of its softball team and one of its players were killed in a crash that is believed to have been caused by an impaired driver. Oregon State Police say it happened Friday night along Highway 42 in Coos County. Investigators say an SUV crossed the center line and hit a bus carrying 10 members of the softball team. 19-year-old Kylie Jones was pronounced dead at the scene. Head coach Jamie Strins was taken to the hospital and died of her injuries. The other 8 in the bus suffered serious to moderate injuries. Saturday saw another day of protests against the Trump administration across the country. They are part of the Hands Off movement, which has organized demonstrations across the nation this month, including one rally 2 weeks ago in Oregon and Washington. The largest demonstration we saw in our area started and ended at Pioneer Courthouse Square. President Trump says the federal government is focused on cutting government spending, securing the border, and boosting American manufacturing. Ashley Graham shares what protesters this weekend had to say in response.
Protesters here telling me they are not happy with the Trump administration, taking issue with everything from DOGE to tariffs and deportations.
Hey, ho, ho, Donald Trump has got to go.
If I could have 10 signs, I would, but I don't have enough arms.
Protesters started in Pioneer Square before marching through downtown Portland Saturday afternoon.
A few thousand.
Jack O'Connor stumbled on the demonstration.
There are a lot of different messages here.
The list goes on.
Natalie says she's protesting for many reasons. For one, she's against the Trump administration's tariffs and concerned about rising prices.
Try to buy a car in a month, good luck. You're going to pay thousands and thousands of more dollars for everything.
Most of those reciprocal tariffs are on pause. The Trump administration says their goal is to bring manufacturing back to the U.S. and are focused on the long term.
This is what democracy looks like.
As the march snaked through the Rose City, Portland police closed the roads. TriMet riders also faced some delays. Some in the crowd carried signs taking aim at the administration's immigration policy.
I made this sign specifically. We need to bring him home. We need to give him due process.
Patrick Blewett is talking about Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a migrant recently deported to El Salvador.
He was in the U.S. legally, no matter what the Trump administration says.
This man is according to certified statements that we get is a very violent person.
The protest ended around 2 in the afternoon. Portland Police Chief Bob Day posted on social media calling this a peaceful event and thanking everyone for prioritizing safety. In Portland, Ashley Graham's KGW News.
Local environmental groups gathered at Elizabeth Carruthers Park near the South Waterfront for a so-called climate justice rally. Then they marched toward the Tesla dealership on Macadam. The Trump administration argues it's rolling back unnecessary regulations that harm businesses while still following science. However, protesters say they're slashing environmental protections in the face of climate crisis.
And we are really trying to reject greenwash solutions to the climate crisis, really wanting true solutions, people-powered solutions that are not throwing Indigenous communities and communities in the Global South under the bus. So it's been really beautiful to see the different organizations coming together around this, being able to make connections with other people that are scared and afraid and angry and be together in joyful spaces like this where we're seeing what people power can do.
Focusing on Oregon, they're calling on the state's treasury to divest public employee retirement funds from Tesla, accusing the company of misleading the public on the environmental harm of electric vehicles. It seems like we've all experienced trouble getting in to see a doctor. That is especially true for those in rural Oregon. Part of the problem is getting enough physicians trained in the state. New this morning, Tim Gordon reports on a plan to up the ante with a new medical school for Oregon.
Right now, OHSU in Portland is Oregon's only public medical school. It's a big teaching medical center, but 2025's graduating MD class was just 126 doctors. More are needed, especially primary care physicians. Now a plan to create a new medical school to train doctors in rural Oregon, where access to health care is worse. The campus for it is in Klamath Falls. Oregon Institute of Technology has a long history of training other medical professionals, from dental hygienists to doctors of physical therapy.
So we have the science base. We're obviously in rural Oregon, and research says that providers who train and complete their education in rural settings are 5 times more likely to stay once they establish practices.
OIT's Gaylord Maurer says that's important because in places like Klamath County, the provider-to-patient ratio for primary care is 2,000 to 1, compared to the statewide average of about 1,200 to 1. 2.5 million Oregonians, more than half of the population, live in what are called health professional shortage areas. Most of those healthcare deserts are in rural Oregon.
So we see that every day just in the access and the challenge that our community has just in getting access to care.
David Cobble is the CEO of Sky Lakes Medical Center in Klamath Falls, which is already a teaching hospital connected to OHSU and Oregon Tech.
So students are already coming to us and receiving medical education, hands-on clinical experience. So our partnership in this is we are literally across the street from one another.
Cobble is excited about the prospect of doing more because right now Oregon brings in more doctors than it creates.
So this is trying to say, how do we begin to change that? And so we're not importing people from outside of Oregon to practice medicine in Oregon, but we're actually growing our own.
It's the early stages of developing a second Oregon public medical school and the first to center on osteopathic medicine at a time when most would ask not why, but why not?
I think everyone understands the need. I think everyone has had issues getting appointments with primary care physicians, and I think we've all felt the strain of that.
Tim Gordon, KGW News.
We are told the next step is to figure out all the details, specifically the funding and how to get the school accredited. That process could take 3 to 5 years.